Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is the sequel to the 2016 film that introduced Benedict Cumberbatch to the MCU. While Scott Derrickson did direct that first film, he does step out of the director's chair during this one because something about creative differences. He wanted to make a more horror-ish film, and Marvel apparently didn't want to do that. So they got Sam Raimi. If you guys have not checked out WandaVision yet, it is the first Marvel Studios series. You need to check it out. Not only is it a great show, but it adds so much context to this film that it'll breeze over things that you may generally feel like a movie should touch upon, but there's a piece of media out there that does. This is going to be a completely spoiler-free review, so if you guys saw the movie and want to hear my nitty-gritty spoilery thoughts, you gotta wait next week until my spoiler talk. But right now, let's dive into the movie. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hez Project. I'm John Ordalaza, and today I'm giving my spoiler-free review for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I got a chance to check this movie out last night, and oh boy, it's full of surprises for the good and just a smidge of the not so good. Let's get into it. So as I mentioned, Scott Derrickson directed that first film, and it was reported about a couple years ago now that he was stepping down from the director's chair. He was no longer attached to the film, but I guess he's still executive producer. Some ideas were kept from his version, but they were going to go with a different director, and they brought on Sam Raimi. And it was always strange to me because Sam Raimi is a horror guy. Like, I haven't seen all of his films. I've seen The Evil Dead, Army of Darkness. They're very intriguing movies when it comes to that type of darkness and demonic type visuals and imagery. It's creepy. It's kind of nail-biting at times. So I was thoroughly intrigued to see that he was attached to Doctor Strange 2. I remember that throwaway line where they kind of teased out Doctor Strange in Spider-Man 2 back in 2004. I really needed to see the movie and get a vibe of the movie and experience it to get that full Sam Raimi vibe, and dude, they gave it to me and then some. He was able to just go full-blown Sam Raimi in this movie. That was just so surprising to me that Marvel leaned so heavily onto that type of a film, but it was for the better because, dude, this is such a standout of all of the MCU films. I'm not going to say it's as good as Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but it's a standout just as much as The Winter Soldier is. It's such that genre that it was trying to go for and emulate that it stands out, and it feels a little bit more than just a comic book film. It feels like a horror film. I'm so glad that these movies are finding a genre to overtake the script and make it stand out more than just a generic comic book movie, because this could have easily been just a standard comic book movie with some wizards and witches that show up, do some magic, do some witchcraft. It's a lot more than that, honestly, and I'm surprised by the tone of the film. The whole vibe and the aesthetic just feels gritty and dirty and horrific. Now, I mentioned in my Doctor Strange review that I did about a week or two ago, which you guys should check out. I had a lot of fun revisiting that movie, especially revisiting Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Stephen Strange in his own solo film. He's made numerous appearances in the Avengers films and Thor Ragnarok, but he hasn't been the focus in his own movie for 6 years. And it was really refreshing to get back to that, and it was refreshing to see it continue in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is a fantastic actor. He just embodies the character more than a lot of the other characters in the MCU really do. Some of them, they're good, but there's certain characters in the MCU where I can go, this actor would actually be a good version of that hero too. But, you know, like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, those two I feel like can never be replaced. Of course, at some point they will, but in my eyes, I just see them and I just want to see them. And Benedict Cumberbatch is up there with his Stephen Strange. I think he's so good in the role. And the same can be said for Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch. Look, if you guys have not seen WandaVision yet, I think you really should, because there's a lot of context that can be added to this film that'll help you kind of get behind her, or at least understand her perspective of things. And this is the best way I can put it without really spoiling both the movie or the show. the show feels like you're experiencing life through Wanda's perspective because she is the main character. That is her project. And this movie feels like you're experiencing things through everyone else. You're experiencing their perspective of Wanda. It's a really beautiful flip of the coin, and I'm so happy that they were able to pull it off. I think Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch's role in this film, is so beautiful, dude. It's awesome. It's badass, dude. She kicks ass in this movie, and I'm so happy for Elizabeth Olsen. She's so great in the role, and I just want to see her in more stuff because she's so good. Now I want to move on to America Chavez real quick. Now, I'm not going to get into her power or anything, but she has a tie to the overall plot of the movie, and that kind of lends her to feel like a plot device. I don't like to use those types of words because, I don't know, a lot of people just kind of throw it all over the place sometimes whenever they're making critiques about a film, but it really felt like it was in my face. She was a plot device in this movie, and she wasn't even utilized properly. I don't want to, it's hard to talk about this movie with spoilers. Damn you, Kevin Feige. Stop making movies that are so spoiler goody that I just can't talk about them without spoiling. Of all the multiverses and madnesses that are going on in this movie, it's not as madness filled as you may think. And I know a lot of people were going crazy about this movie being 2 hours and 6 minutes. That's the official runtime of the film. They were going crazy because they were like, oh, there's so much to cover. Like, there's so much to do. They're going to be doing so much in this movie. Like, they're not. This movie isn't as crazy as people are making it out to be. It's surprisingly self-contained. They still go balls to the wall. There's crazy things that happen in this movie for sure, but it is more grounded than you think. Expect it to be a little bit more grounded than you think because it's Sam Raimi. He likes that horror vibe, and horror works best when it's grounded. And I think there's a lot of grounded things in here that were surprising, shocking that they went that route, but I'm ultimately glad that this movie in parts is more smaller scale and they don't go super crazy for the sake of surprises and cameos and whatnot, although we do get a lot of surprises and cameos for sure. Visual effects I thought were really great, though. There weren't any like spell binding visuals with like, you know, hand branches growing off your fingertips and then more hand branches growing off of those tiny little fingertips. Nothing crazy like that one sequence in Doctor Strange 1 or any of the other mirror dimension visuals. There's a lot of great other visuals and imagery in this one, but they go a different route, and I think it was for the better. I'm really glad that these movies feel different. It's not a carbon copy of the first one. It doesn't feel like it's treading the same steps of the first one, the one that came before it, because a lot of Hollywood movies tend to do that. They tend to take the plot of the first film, add a couple characters here and there, change the villain's name and his color, or whatever his signature color is, change the location of the film, and then boom, we got a new movie. It's brand new, it's original. Unfortunately, no Michael Giacchino score. He's been doing a lot of work. I'm sure he's been very busy with the Batman, Jurassic World Dominion, and probably other stuff I can't even think of at the moment. But he seems to be a well sought out composer now because he is so freaking good. So who did Sam Raimi get to replace since Michael Giacchino seemed to be occupied somewhere else? He got Danny Elfman. Now, Danny Elfman ain't no slouch. He's the one who composed the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy themes, the scores for those films. He also did Joss Whedon's version of Justice League. There's no real theme that sticks out. There's no moment where the guy poses and then the music, the triumphant Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness main theme kicks in. Only until the credits, you know, of course, there's great music in the credits always. And that's really no disrespect to Danny Elfman. He's a great composer. I mean, the Spider-Man theme is fantastic. And some of the themes he composes in this film are really good too. It's just, they're not real standouts in my opinion. If you guys aren't super keen on Sam Raimi's style, you may think that this film is a lot of style over substance, but I think it was done so well. It was done very well and tasteful to the point where it was just right there, right before it hit style over substance. It was just enough to make me go, this is a stylistically beautifully written movie. There are certain things where I don't feel like resolutions were 100% satisfying, but at the end of the day, I had a lot of fun with this movie. It took us on a really great journey. Ending felt just a slight bit wonky. We'll get more into it in the spoiler talk. I don't want to ruin it for you guys. You really should check out Multiverse of Madness. It's a 2-hour flick. It's easy to get through. You'll have a lot of fun. And if you're into horror type elements and imagery and stuff, this second half of this movie will be for you. I'm telling you right now, you will enjoy it. So thank you for joining me on my review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as I dodged my way through these spoilers because there is so much to talk about. I want to talk about this film in full, so that's why I gotta post a spoiler talk at some point next week, but you might want to check that out when it's posted. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Check out my reviews I posted of Moon Knight. We wrapped it up this week. Episode 6 was pretty dope. The overall show was pretty good. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I still think WandaVision is up there. And by the way, if you haven't checked out WandaVision yet, go do that. Like I said, it's a great show and it's great context. It adds a lot to this film, as if this film was already dope on its own. You will get even more out of it if you see WandaVision before Multiverse of Madness. So I highly recommend that. You might want to stick around the channel, guys, because there is more to come.